Beloved, my name is Reverend Dr. Alonzo Perry Sr., and I want to welcome you to a Bible study broadcast of the New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. Thank you for finding us. Thank you for joining us. And we want to let you know that the broadcast that you're about to view has been previously recorded. And we believe that this broadcast is going to be impactful and meaningful to you. So please stay tuned as we get ready to get ushered into our Bible study as we look forward to hearing what God says to say to us through his word. God bless you. Welcome to Connections. We are a Bible study of the New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, and we are so delighted to have you aboard with us. And our question that's floating along underneath me is, how are you doing today? We hope and pray that everything is well with you and your family and everything is okay at your home. Well, we've been away, but we're grateful to God to be back, and we're going to be talking about some interesting things. We have titled the study beginning tonight, Onward, Launching into a New Year. So we're going to try to get it off on the right foot. And of course, we do that best when you help us by commenting and sharing your opinions, your ideas in the chat. All right, so that's what we're going to be about on this evening. And we want to give shout outs to everybody and just say we're grateful to have you back with us. So as always, we love to give shout outs to our friends and family on Facebook and YouTube. And we are asking, especially this year, 2025, if you can, please share this broadcast on your pages. Okay? People find us in the most curious ways, but the best way for folk to find us is when you share this broadcast, when you like it, when you subscribe to it, and especially when you comment. Okay? So when you do that, you're really helping all of us to live out the Great Commission, which is to go and to make disciples. So thank you for doing your part. Okay, we want to say to you, welcome back. We've been on what some might call a winter break, and now we are back, and we are just hoping and praying that you've had a good time. So we're going to be raising some questions to get ourselves off on the right foot. And here's the question, the first one of 2025. How were the holidays? Okay. Now, from the end of November to the beginning of the new year, we call it the holiday season. We got Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, we have Advent, we have Christmas, and then we have New Year. So how were the holidays? Let us know, okay? How were the holidays? If you want to share what you did, we'd be grateful, and we'd be anxious to hear a little bit, get a little bit of the 411 about how you handle the holidays. Okay. Oh, wow. Here we go. You got that right? Cruising. All right. Tyler's out cruising. Elizabeth Jackson says quiet and peaceful. Gloria Graham, peaceful. All right. What about you? How are the holidays? Well, me, it's always good when I get we get the family together, everybody hanging out, get to see my children and get to see the grands. And of course, it's a great thing. So how are the holidays? Okay. Now listen. I know some of you come on and you're faithful, you're religiously tune in, and I get it. Everybody that comes on doesn't want to be in the comment field. But you really help make this broadcast work when you comment. Okay, so we try to put out a lot of different types of questions, and hopefully one of them will spark your interest. Uh, we got some people that comment a lot, and we're very grateful for them. But we're hoping in 2025 that you'll feel more comfortable, and you'll say, "Okay, this is my spot where I come to get my Bible study on, and I want to be a part of the group. I don't just want to be watching; I want to be contributing." Okay, so it's your opportunity. Just let us know. Find a question you like. Hey, go ahead. Give it a shot. Okay. All right. So now, what's the best trip you've ever been on? What's the best trip you've ever been on? Okay? What's the best trip you've ever been on? Man, one thing that once our kids got grown, Brenda and I made a real commitment that we're gonna travel. We gonna see as much of God's creation as we possibly can. And man, I had some trips that I think about them, and they kind of really, so still touching me. One of the best trips I've been on was going to Israel was a life changer for me, because I got to see and experience things that Jesus did. I'll never forget our tour guide saying to me when we went to Nazareth, he said to the group, he said this: "I can guarantee you 100% that where you are standing and where you are walking, Jesus also walked right there." And I'm like, wow. You don't know what that does to me. It shook me at my core. I'm standing on the same ground that my Christ stood on. Right? So what about you? What's the best trip you've ever been on? Okay. We got some good answers. Montego Bay, Jamaica. Oh, Jamaica's in the house. Okay. Don Ray says, first, I visited the big city. It was super fun. Now, you call the big city, is that Manhattan, New York City? Okay. All right. Thumbs up on that one. Cabo. Oh, all right, Miss Prelo. Cabo. All right. Lisa Jackson says, first trip to Las Vegas. Now, you know the word about Vegas. Whatever happens in Vegas. River says St. Kitts and New Orleans. All right. Bashir, how you doing? Jamaica. This is my sister, y'all. She went to Ghana. Now, she got there before me. It's still on my bucket list. I definitely got to go there, but wow, that is awesome. Okay, now we're going to be on that theme for a minute, because it kind of ties into what we're going to be talking about as we talk about launching the new year and moving onward. Okay, so what's your favorite thing about traveling? What's your favorite thing about traveling? Okay, all right, I'm gonna make that big so you can see it at home. What's your favorite thing about traveling? All right, give it a shot. Okay. What's your favorite thing about traveling? That's a good one. All right. I see we got some responses coming in. Let me see. Nice. Eating new foods. All right. Hanging out with family and friends. All right, Spraylo, watching the scenery. All right. Coming back home. I did not expect that one, okay? Seeing how others live in the foods they eat, okay? Experiencing local culture. All right, here you go. Spending time together with your spouse, all right? All right. Okay. All right. All right. So let me go on. Okay. What's the furthest place you've ever been from home? What's the furthest you've ever traveled away from home? What's the furthest you've ever traveled away from home? Now, I've been to Egypt, been to Israel, been to all over Europe, Turkey, Greece. I don't know. I'd have to go out and get one of them things, a map, and probably look at where things are. Oh yeah, I got my big old globe here. Hold on a second. All right. All right. So yeah. Okay. So let me see. Furthest you've been from home. Cabo. So you got to tell me what part of the world we're looking at. We're looking in the Caribbean. Where are we looking at? Cabo. Or St. Lucia. Okay. I don't know. Okay. So, we got, okay. China. Oh my goodness. Mexico. Okay. All right. New York City, going to Barcelona this year. Awesome. We got China. We got Cali, California. Oh, wow. Hey, man, we probably need to get us a globe and put markers on there where all the folk have been that we know. And we probably could have our footprint all over the creation. All right. Awesome. Thank you. All right. I promise we gonna get into the word in just a little, just a couple of shakes. Let me see. All right. Let me leave that alone. Okay. Let me leave that. Okay. Let me get into the text for tonight. Our text for tonight is Luke chapter 14, verses 25 to 33, and we're gonna read that from the New International Version of the Bible. Okay. Luke chapter 14, okay, verses 25 to 33 from the NIV. So I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to make it big so everybody can see it at home, okay? And we're going to read this text. And remember, our theme is moving onward, launching into the new year. And if we're going to be going into a new year, there are some things that you and I need to do and we need to take care of, okay? All right. Now, large crowds were traveling. Okay, let me hold on a second. Okay, sorry about that. Large crowds were traveling with Jesus, and turning to them, he said, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple." Okay. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, "This person began to build and wasn't able to finish." Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he's able with 10,000 men to oppose one coming against him with 20,000? If he's not able, he will send a delegation while the other is still a long way off and will ask for terms of peace. In the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciples. Blessed is the word of the Lord. Amen. Okay. Now, this is one of those passages which kind of boggles the mind, because Jesus is at the apex of his ministry. He is moving. His name, he has name recognition. Crowds have assembled. Everywhere he goes, he's in demand. People are having parties in his honor. He's healing. He's feeding thousands of people at one time. The people really want to install him as the new king. He has become so popular. And in the midst of his popularity, Jesus starts challenging people about following him. Okay? And we're going to look at this challenge that he throws out, because it's kind of like surreal. Because he has a ministry that is really running on all cylinders. He is appealing to everybody, and in the middle of his greatest appeal, he puts the brakes on it and starts challenging people about being serious about following him. And if you were one of Jesus' disciples and you heard him go off, you would think perhaps he went off the rails. Maybe he lost his mind. Maybe something is wrong, because instead of encouraging people to stick with him, he starts talking about the cost of following him. Okay? And so as we go into this new year, we're going to take a deep look at this. Okay? Now, earlier we found out that y'all, you've been on vacations, you've been to different places, you've been to different cities, different locations, and you plan for a vacation. I want to challenge you today and ask you, what about following Jesus? Have you been intentional? Do you have some real plans of what it means to follow Christ? Okay? Think about it. When you get ready to board a plane, you got to make sure your bags are packed. Make sure if you have a carry-on that, things in there that's supposed to be in there. If you have a bag you're going to check, you got to make sure, you got to be careful about packing. You want to conserve space. You want to make sure that everything, if you don't want to forget things. If you have medications, you want to make sure you have that. You have toiletries. You want to have, changes of undergarments. You want to have sufficient amount of clothing to last you for the trip. And we plan. We plan when we're going to get to the airport. We plan when we're going to get to the ship. We plan, when we're going to get to the location or wherever we have to embark. Okay? And so we do all of that. And then we come into 2025 and we start talking about following Jesus. And for some of us, we're working on a plan that we worked on 10 years ago, some 5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 2 months ago. But every time you get ready to go on a vacation or a trip, you update your itinerary. Okay? You don't wear the same clothing in a cold weather environment that you do in the summer, hot climate. You dress according to the location. A lot of people come to Christ and they do the exact same thing every year. They don't vary it. The situations around them may change, but as far as they're concerned, I'm going to do the same thing I did in 2020, the same thing you did in 2015, etc., etc., etc. So I want to know, just like you plan for these trips, what about following Jesus? What's your plan? Okay? That's what I really want to know. Okay? So, let's look at this. What are some of the words and concepts that people normally associate when they talk about what it means to follow Jesus? Okay? let's look at Luke 14:25. Okay? Large crowds were traveling with Jesus. Okay? Now, what do you think these folk had on their mind, these crowds that were following Jesus? What's their why? Why do they follow him? You know? I mean, some folk were actually taking off from work to go follow Jesus. Why? Okay? What are some of the words and concepts that people associate when they talk about following Jesus? Okay? I want you to think about that for a few minutes. Okay? So look at the crowd in Luke chapter 14, verse 25. As Reverend Tyler said, they wanted his help. Okay? Some of them wanted his help. They wanted something from him, right? He could heal. He could feed. Okay? He could provide. Okay? These are things that people wanted and desperately needed. So, as long as he's healing, as long as he's feeding, as long as he's bringing, comfort and relief, people, they follow him wherever he goes. Okay? Now, they had some real ideas about following Jesus. And that's what we want to get to today. Okay? And a lot of times people in those days followed Jesus because they wanted his help, or they wanted something from him. Okay? And as Gloria Graham says, some people actually wanted to learn about him. But remember, everybody followed Jesus didn't want to be a learner. They didn't want to know. I mean, there were scribes and Pharisees who followed Jesus simply to trip him up and see if they could catch him so that they could discredit him. Okay? And there were, of course, some who just followed him because they wanted to be in the know. They wanted to know what was going on. Okay? So Jesus attracts all of these different types of people who come to follow him. Okay? Now let's look at Luke chapter 14, verse 26 and 27. And think how Jesus is defining discipleship in contrast to our assumptions. Okay? So look what Jesus says in verses 26 and 27. If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Okay? Now, it's interesting, as we talked about earlier, Jesus is at the height of his ministry. And one would think that in chapter 14, of Luke, he's near the apex. He's near the summit. He's about at the top of his popularity. And you would think that he would want people to come and have more people watch him on Facebook and YouTube. You think he would want to have more people come to the temple to hear him speak. You think he would want larger crowds. But he starts telling people that if you're going to follow me, you got to hate your mama, your papa, your sisters, and your brothers. You got to hate yourself. And can you imagine the disciples like, ho, gee, don't say that. You're going to run them away. We got these people right where we want them. They're ready to open their pocketbooks. They know you're genuine. And here you go talking about you got to hate your parents. Now, let's be honest. Jesus is not literally saying that you and I have to hate our parents, our brothers and sisters. What he is saying in a figurative sense is that if we follow him, we can't put any relationship above his relationships. It makes sense? Okay? So he's not saying, if you're going to follow me, you got to, X out your parents, you got to forget about your siblings, and you got to forget about your own needs. Now, he said, no. What he's saying is that he has to be supreme. He has to be the most important thing. You get that? So when he says you got to hate your parents, you got to hate your mother and your father, your sister and your brother, basically you can't have their relationship above the relationship you have with Christ. Christ has to be the number one relationship. It has to exceed the relationship of spouse, of parent, of child, of sibling, and of self. Jesus has to be the most important thing in our lives. Okay? Now, he issues a warning in verses 26 and 27 that if we have relationships and he's not primary, we cannot be his disciples. We can't. We can talk about it, but we can't be his disciples. All right? So I won't be honest with you. When Jesus comes to this text, he argues with us about following him. He makes it clear. And he said, Perry, tell him in 2025, I'm not looking for average pew people. I'm looking for extraordinary people who have me at the front of their lives. And Jesus says he's jealous. God says, thou shalt not have no other God before him. God does not want to be second fiddle. He does not want to be a close second to you, your spouse, your parents, your siblings, your children, your job, your car, your money, your health, or anything. Jesus says, if I can't be number one, you can't be my disciple. Y'all get that? That's radical. Okay? That's the way you and I need to approach 2025. Not sitting on the fence, not vacillating, not trying to get it straight, but understand, Jesus demands that if we're going to be his disciples, he has to be number one. He can't be in your top 5 faves. Okay? He can't be in your top 5. Okay? Jesus says, I have to be number one or you cannot be mine. I'm like, Jesus, come on. You're telling me I want to follow you. I want to be like you. No, Perry. If I'm not first, you can't be my disciple. You can go to church, you can sing, you give your money, you can do all that stuff, but you can't be my disciple unless I am numero uno. Now, let that sit in, because some of y'all never heard this before. And so you come to God trifling. You come to God half-stepping. You come to God when you feel like it. Jesus said, Perry, that's not what I'm into, okay? So, Jesus says that if we are his disciples, our family relationship might look like hate when an unbeliever observes the priority that Jesus takes in our life, okay? So that's what Jesus says, that when people look at you, they should see that your love for him is so great that they kind of wonder, how does he treat his family? I mean, everything is God. Everything is Jesus. Everything is God first. It's not that I hate my parents. Not that I hate my siblings. Not that I hate my wife or you have a husband or wife or kids. It's not that you hate them, but it may appear to people peering in that, man, he's so in love with God. Does he love his wife or does she love her husband? That's when you know that God is first. Okay? All right. Now, Jesus said that we are his disciples. Okay? Now let me just pause because I think I'm feeling the pushback from some of y'all. You're like, I can't do this. Okay? So I preached a sermon this past Sunday about yes, you can. Because some of us have this notion that, we're supposed to, as Christ followers, go around and profess what we can't do. Well, the Bible says through Christ, we can do all things that through him who gives us the strength to do it. Okay? So if God tells us to do it, it is possible. Now you may be saying, I can never do that. Well, God would not ask you to do something that you could never do. The problem is not whether you can do it or not. The question is, will you do it versus can you do it? Okay? That's the challenge for us. Okay? So, how have you experienced this kind of family alienation from family? Okay? So what I mean is this. Some people, when they sense that your number one priority is Christ and not them, okay, they may decide to put you on the back burner. They may decide that we're not going to invite you over. You know, the things you used to do, you used to come to parties and bring your own bottle. Now you come to parties and you want to quote Bible verses. Nah, it's too much Jesus. This is too much God stuff. And so now what happens is people will alienate you if you go all in on Christ. And that's why a lot of people don't go all in on Christ, because they're afraid of how people are going to respond to them, how they're going to take them, because now, it's all about God. It's all about him. Okay? And so, and we got to ask ourselves, do we ever in our relationship, do we ever tick off people because we're so in love with Jesus? Now, if you've never been in that situation where you've got people get offended because you are so, all the things that come out of your mouth is bless the Lord, hallelujah, praise God. Sometimes people, they're like, do you know anything else? And when you demonstrate to people that Christ is first in your life, a lot of times that can cause people to become alienated and you can face some struggles. Okay? Make sense? Okay. Now, in what ways might someone be tempted to idolize their family? In what ways might someone be tempted to idolize their family? Okay? We'll talk about this in a minute, okay? Because if we're not careful, Bible doesn't tell us, Jesus said, hate your family, your mother, father, but Jesus said in relationship to him, if you come to him, you have to have a relationship where he's primary. Okay? He's not saying literally hate your parents, but it will look to people in the world like you have a disdain for them because you are just so over the top with Jesus. Okay? So, in what ways might someone be tempted to idolize their family? Thank you, Don Ray, for that. Sending for them. Now, Don Ray, you didn't know this, but I was going to tell you a story, okay? When I first came to Jersey City, I was staying with my dad and my brother in an apartment on Park Place. You just go down Communal Park like you're going toward the junction, okay? And my brother had his girlfriend there, and I said, hey, I could save some money on rent and I could stay with them. And I'm going to tell y'all the truth. This is what I did. Don't judge me, but I'm going to tell you what I did, Okay. My father drank and my brother drank. My brother drank Old English. Okay. Yeah, a beer, whatever. And my dad drank liquor called Wild Irish Rose. Okay. Wild Irish Rose. Okay. Uh, so what I did was, my sister's on, so she's gonna kill me for this. So what happened was, when I came to Jersey City, I was going to the liquor store buying them liquor. I wouldn't drink beer. I wouldn't touch alcohol. And I'm going to the store buying it for them because I wanted to keep them happy and satisfied. One day I walked into the liquor store and it's like the Lord hit me with like a bolt of lightning and said, "Thou fool, look at you. You are going around here elevating your family and putting them on a pedestal so high, okay, that you forgot that you represent me." I had to get out of there almost instantly because I realized I was about to make a wreck of my own life because I had idolized my family, put them on the pedestal, and I actually was abetting and aiding them in committing sin. That's crazy, isn't it? Okay. So, now, yeah, I had to stop that. I had to turn around and repent and tell God I'm sorry. And I had to get out of that environment. Okay. And so I know what it's like when you idolize family, when you try your best to keep peace in the family. And I went so far as I was like, okay, I'll deliver this stuff to you. And the Lord said, "Look at you. You're so mixed up." And I was terribly confused. But I knew I had to get out of there. Okay? All right. Here we go. Okay. According to this text, how should a disciple of Jesus view his own life? Okay? So let's go back to verse 27 and see what Jesus says. Okay? Verse 27, it says, "And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple." If anyone, verse 26, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate father, mother, wife, and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life," okay, such a person cannot be my disciple. So Jesus is making it pretty clear that to be a disciple is costly. It's not something that one should do lightly, Yeah, a lot of times people come on a Sunday, they get excited, they get emotional, and they say, "I want to sign up." And then after they sign up and they start reading the small print, which is the Holy Bible, right? And they're like, "Oh gosh, I got to stop doing this. I have to do that. I have to love people who don't love me. I have to forgive people. Oh man, I don't know if I can do all that." Okay? Now, make a list of the ways that you are selfish in your normal everyday life. Okay? Now, I'm going to make this big so you can see it at home, and I want you to think about this list. Okay? How many things can you list? Okay? Make a list of ways that you are selfish in your normal life, everyday life. Okay? How many can you list? See if you can list 80 ways that you are self-focused rather than focused on other people. Okay. Now I'm gonna make it big so you can screenshot it, you can write it down, you can deal with it. But I want to let you know, you may think 80 seems like a large number. Once you get started, like the song say, it's hard to stop. Okay, so go for it. Okay. All right, how we doing? All right, great. All right, so, so I'm back with that so we can go forward, okay? Now, what in your life right now, if you gave it up, would allow you to be better equipped to love people and point them to Christ? Be honest. What's holding you back? What's keeping you from being better equipped to love people and pointing them to Christ? Okay, because this whole study that we're talking about, we're talking about the idea of moving onward. Okay, that's what we're talking about, launching into a new year. So, what do I need to do? What do I need to give up right now? If I gave it up, would allow me to be better equipped to love people and point them to Christ. Okay, what is it? What is it you're holding on to? What is it that you need to let go of? That if you did it right now, it would allow you to be better equipped to love people and point them to Christ. I want you to think about this, okay? This is our challenge as we go into 2025. We got to push and we got to move onward. We cannot stay static. We cannot look backwards. We have to move forward, okay? Now, Elizabeth Jackson says, afraid that they don't want to hear about Christ from me, okay? All right, let me help you with that. Ego is a big problem. Thank you. All right, now, I'm going to ask you a question, okay? I'm not trying to be mean, just trying to ask a question, okay? Because this is how we learn, okay? If you say that somebody, you're afraid that they don't want to hear about Christ from you, okay? Let me ask you the question. If you don't share, who's going to share? I mean, if you don't share Christ with them, who you got? Who's your backup plan? Could it be possible that God has called you, commissioned you, placed you in a place to have that relationship so that you can have that conversation? Because if you don't have it, who's going to have it? Who cares that much about them and about their soul and their eternity that they want to have the conversation if it's not you? So if God is saying, I call you, I equipped you, I put you in this place so that you can share with your family, and you don't share it, what's the alternative? Okay? All right? So what if in your life right now, if you gave it up, would allow you to be better equipped to love people and point them to Christ? Okay? Pleasing people. Okay? So a lot of times we got to let stuff go, right? Personal opinions, okay? Social anxiety, being accepted, okay? All right? So I told you, following Christ is not simple. Jesus, for some reason, talks to a crowd of people, follow him and say, look, if you don't hate your mother, father, sister, brother, and yourself, you can't even be my disciple. Okay? So the big idea of the text is following Jesus requires intention. Okay? You can't follow Jesus and just be haphazard about it. You can't walk into 2025 with Jesus and say, well, Lord, whatever happens, you got to have a plan. We're going on this trip. We picked out our destination. We know where we're headed. We got to pack. We got to get our itinerary straight. We got to get the connections together. We got to find out what time to get to the airport. We have so many things we got to take care of, and we just can't leave it to chance. Okay? If your flight leaves in the evening at 11 o'clock, right? If your flight leaves at 11 p.m., right? You don't say at 10:30, I'm going to the airport. You don't know what traffic's going to be. It may take you an hour to get to the airport. So by the time you get to the airport, people are already boarded and the plane is already taxied and taken off. You got to have enough time. You got to know, hey, the lines, you got to go through TSA, you got to have your boarding pass. You got to have all this stuff. If you go out of the country, you got to have a visa. Come on, you just don't wake up in the morning and say, hey, let me go on a trip. To where? You know, you're playing. You're following Jesus in 2025. What's your game plan? How are we going to do this? I'm just going to come and show up on church. Great. We're glad to have you. But we're also glad to have people who are intentional and have thought about it and say, God, this is what I see you doing in my life. And this is where I want to show myself, and I want to be available for you to work through me and with me. Okay? So now, how do you understand verse 33 concerning today's culture? Well, let's look at verse 33. Okay? It says, in the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciples. Now, you got to look at this text over and over again. I've been looking at it, okay? And I am amazed at how many times Jesus is saying, you can't be my disciple. If you don't do this, you can't be my disciple. What are we saying in the church? In the church, we're saying, come on, we want you to be disciples. Come on, we want you to join church. Come on, please, 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 please. Jesus said, no. If you don't do this, if you don't act this way, if you don't behave this way, you cannot be my disciple. And Jesus didn't seem to have a problem telling people, I don't want you on my team. We call that blasphemy, right? You gonna tell somebody they can't be on your team? He said, nope, you can't be on my team. You can be on Team Satan, but you can't be on my team. Only people on my team are the people who love me more than mother, father, sister, brother, and themselves. People who are on my team have voluntarily picked up their cross and decided to follow me. Oh, man. Oh, Jesus. So Jesus is putting out some heavy stuff, you know? So he's really basically saying to anybody, look, if you want to follow me, here is the rule. Here are the rules. This is what you got to do to follow me. Okay? All right. So let's go on. How are we doing? We all right? Okay. All right. Now, we raised this question and we've been trying to work through it, okay? Why does Jesus go out of his way to push people away? I think what Jesus has in mind, let me see if I got an answer here, okay, is that, for one, he's not trying to sell anything, okay? He's not trying to create a mega church. He's not trying to get all the people to come and hear him preach, okay? Jesus is really telling people that if you want to be a part of the kingdom, there's only one way in. There are not multiple entry points. So if you want to be my disciples, this is what you got to do. Okay? Basically, Jesus is saying, love it or leave it. Okay? That's what he's saying. If you want to be my disciples, this is what you have to do. Okay? Now, that is just amazing. Okay, so we see that it right clearly in the text. Okay, now let me go back and look at these comments. Okay, now what do you think it means to be Jesus's follower? Now let me raise this question, because this is where, and I'll be honest, I aim to start out 2025 on fire and serious. And the problem I've been dealing with is that every year I come to people who are lukewarm, who basically are saying to Jesus, well, if Jesus said it, you know, I got some issues with stuff that Jesus says. Well, you can't be a disciple of Jesus and be pushing back on what Jesus says. Either Jesus is God, Lord of all, or he's not Lord at all. Okay? And so we can't come to Jesus and say, Jesus, I like you, but, you know, some of your stances, you know, some of the stuff you say, some of the positions you take. But Jesus said, look, if you follow me, you can't follow me half-heartedly. Okay? You can't say you believe me and then don't do what I say. Does that make sense? How many people say they believe Jesus and then they say, well, you know, I got a problem with Jesus. You know, the way he talks and the way he demands. And but Jesus said, hey, if you're going to be my disciple, you have to deny yourself, pick up your cross, and follow me. Okay? All right. So here we go. For Jesus, however, becoming a Christian was something so radical, so total, that by comparison, every other commitment looked like hate compared to it. Imagine you are so in love with Jesus till your relationship with your husband and wife looks like you hate them. You are so in touch and connected with Christ that your relationship with your children that you love, people look at that and look at how you love Jesus and say, man, they just over the top. They are radical. They are sold, S-O-U-L-E-D, sold out. Okay? So we go into 2025, we need people who are going to keep pushing onward. Okay? And understand that Christ does not want lukewarm, half-hearted followers. Okay? Now, how radical is your Christianity? How radical is your Christianity? Some people's Christianity only gets radical at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. After that, it's just commonplace. I mean, you don't even know they follow Christ. They don't act like Christ followers. They're not looking and listening to Christ. They got their ear into Instagram and TikTok and every other social media place, and they know what all the influencers are saying, but as far as they're concerned, Jesus is not my influencer. Okay? How radical is your Christianity? Anybody ever look at you and say, dang, they just totally lost in Christ? Or do you just look like somebody else in the world? Okay? How far are you willing to go in following Jesus? Jesus said this, I believe it in Luke 9. He said, the birds of the air have nests. Foxes have holes, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Jesus said, stop telling people that following me is easy. Jesus said, if you follow me, and if I'm not the most important thing in your life, you can't be my disciple. Okay? How far are you willing to go? See, some people follow Jesus up until the time when he says, give it all away and come and follow me, and then you'll have eternal life. And we start looking, well, God, I don't know if I can give up everything. I could give up some of the excess stuff I have, but I can't give up everything. Then he said, you can't be my disciple. Okay? But here's the thing. At some point, obedience to him is going to cost you. I want you to underline this. Let me make a big thing see it at home. Okay? It's going to cost you at some point. Obedience to him will take you 180 degrees opposite of where you think you want to go. It's not going to make life easier. It's going to make it harder. Okay? And if you've been following Jesus, like you claim, and you haven't had to make tough decisions, and it's been a real easy journey, okay, then Jesus is saying, you just might not be my disciple. Okay? Because Jesus says, nobody builds without counting the cost. Nobody decides to go to war and not count up what it will cost them. If you got 10,000 troops and you going up against somebody that got 20,000, you should know that that's a no-win proposition. You need to go send an emissary, send a group ahead and make peace, set up terms for surrender because you're not going to win. Okay? And Jesus, many of us going into 2025 acting like we're going to win and we're not going to face any pushback or opposition. So you're out of your mind. Anybody that follows me knows, Jesus says in the text, anybody that follows him knows that they are arch enemies with Satan. That you're not getting out of here unscathed. Hello? Okay? Reverend Tyler says this, I lost a good friend because of a decision to do what Jesus says. Absolutely. And the tragedy is that more of us can't put up on the screen that we lost good friends because some of us, we didn't do what Jesus said. We compromised. We changed our values. We said, hey, it's okay. And we let our guard down and we let our standard down. And people start patting you on the back saying, hey, you're a good boy. Man, you did good. Yeah, I love you, man. Yeah, we can hang out all the time. But Jesus said, but what fellowship does darkness have with light? Okay? In 2025, we can't keep hanging out with the world and having the world give us attaboys and pats on the back. And then Jesus said, we're followers of Jesus. Jesus said, no, my followers don't act like that. Okay? Now, the question is, are you ready to follow him? Okay? All right? All right. And still lost a friend. Okay? Sometimes it happens. And sometimes, when you lose people that you call friends, remember, you call them friend. I ain't going to mess with that no more. Okay? Now, in verse 27, Jesus says, and whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Okay? What does it mean to carry your cross? Okay? What does it mean to carry your cross? Now, Christians have been hijacking this text for years. Okay? All right? What does it mean to carry your cross? Okay? I got a video I want to play you real quick. Yeah. What does it mean to carry your cross? Check this out.
What did Jesus mean when he said, take up your cross and follow me? Let's begin with what Jesus didn't mean. Many people interpret cross as some burden they must carry in their lives, a strained relationship, a thankless job, a physical illness. With self-pitying pride, they say, that's my cross I have to carry. Such an interpretation is not what Jesus meant when he said, take up your cross and follow me. When Jesus carried his cross up Golgotha to be crucified, no one was thinking of the cross as symbolic of a burden to carry. To a person in the first century, the cross meant one thing and one thing only, death by the most painful and humiliating means human beings could develop. 2,000 years later, Christians view the cross as a cherished symbol of atonement, forgiveness, grace, and love. But in Jesus' day, the cross represented nothing but torturous death. Because the Romans forced convicted criminals to carry their own crosses to the place of crucifixion, bearing a cross meant carrying their own execution device while facing ridicule along the way to death. Therefore, take up your cross and follow me means being willing to die in order to follow Jesus. This is called dying to self. It's a call to absolute surrender. After each time Jesus commanded cross-bearing, he said, "For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me will save it." What good is it for a man to gain the whole world, yet lose or forfeit his very self? Although the call is tough, the reward is matchless. Wherever Jesus went, he drew crowds. Although these multitudes often followed him as Messiah, their view of who the Messiah really was and what he would do was distorted. They thought the Christ would usher in the restored kingdom. They believed he would free them from the oppressive rule of their Roman occupiers. Even Christ's own inner circle of disciples thought the kingdom was coming soon. When Jesus began teaching that he was going to die at the hands of the Jewish leaders and their Gentile overlords, his popularity sank. Many of the shocked followers rejected him. Truly, they were not able to put to death their own ideas, plans, and desires and exchange them for his. Following Jesus is easy when life runs smoothly. Our true commitment to him is revealed during trials. Jesus assured us that trials would come to his followers. Discipleship demands sacrifice, and Jesus never hid that cost. In Luke 9:57-62, 3 people seemed willing to follow Jesus. When Jesus questioned them further, their commitment was half-hearted at best. They failed to count the cost of following him. None was willing to take up his cross and crucify upon it his own interests. Therefore, Jesus appeared to dissuade them. This is very different from the typical gospel presentation. How many people would respond to an altar call that went, "Come follow Jesus, and you may face the loss of friends, family, reputation, career, and possibly even your life"? The number of false converts would likely decrease. Such a call is what Jesus meant when he said, "Take up your cross and follow me." If you wonder if you're ready to take up your cross, consider these questions. Are you willing to follow Jesus if it means losing some of your closest friends? Are you willing to follow Jesus if it means alienation from your family? Are you willing to follow Jesus if it means the loss of your reputation? Are you willing to follow Jesus if it means losing your job? Are you willing to follow Jesus if it means losing your life? In some places of the world, these consequences are reality. But notice the questions are phrased, "Are you willing?" Following Jesus doesn't necessarily mean all these things will happen to you, but are you willing to take up your cross? If there comes a point in your life where you are faced with a choice, Jesus or the comforts of this life, which will you choose? Commitment to Christ means taking up your cross daily, giving up your hopes, dreams, possessions, even your very life if need be for the cause of Christ. Only if you willingly take up your cross may you be called his disciple. The reward is worth the price. Jesus followed his call of death to self with the gift of life in Christ. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me will find it. Got questions? The Bible has answers, and we'll help you find them.
All right. So that was hopefully an informative video for you on what it means to actually carry your cross. I remember growing up hearing people in church talking about, people who were difficult, folk that they had to forgive, and they say, "That's just my cross." No, a cross, it was and is something that you die on. Okay, and we have to voluntarily die to ourselves and pick it up and follow Jesus every single day. It's a choice. Okay, here's what Billy Graham said. It says, the problem with many of us is we want the Christ of the cross, but we don't want to accept the cross of Christ. Okay, you might want to share that and retweet it. Billy Graham says, we want the Christ of the cross, but we don't want to accept the cross of Christ. Songwriter said it like this: no cross, no crown. Okay? Now, I'm challenging you as we start 2025 because we got kingdom work to do. And we can't do this kingdom work with people who vacillate, people who are not serious, people who don't want to move onward. Jesus says there is a cost to discipleship. And if we're going to be his disciples, we have got to count up the cost. Okay? Now, notice that Jesus said following him means taking up a cross. He doesn't say take up my teaching and follow me, or take up my moral code and follow me, or take up my liturgical calendar and follow me. Jesus says, if you're going to follow me, pick up your cross. Okay? We got to stop sugarcoating the gospel of Christ. trying to make people appease them and try to, but it's going to be easy. No, it won't be easy. Crosses were implements, tools of torture and death. When we pick up our cross, we are deciding to kill our old nature. And we got to make that decision every single day. Okay? So, what exactly does it mean? Well, it means two things, really. Total self-surrender and embracing the Great Commission. That's really what it is. Okay? So, let's talk about total self-surrender in the few minutes that we have left. Okay? A person on the cross, get this, had to give up total control of their life. Because they were on the cross, they could not control themselves. They could not control their bowel movements. They could not control their body. They could not control where they wanted to be. They were subjects of the state and being executed by the state. They had no say. Okay? When they were on the cross, they had given up total control of their life. They were under arrest. They were bound hand and foot, totally powerless to the will of the captor. When they were on that cross, there was no possibility that they were not going to die. They were as good as already dead. Okay? Christians go around and they sing about at the cross, oh God. Jesus died on a cross. And we wear them around our neck as for jewelry and all that. Jesus literally died on a cross. Now we glorify crosses. We make them into custom jewelry. We make them into fine things to put and adorn in our homes at different places. But a cross had one purpose, and one purpose only. That was to kill the person who was carrying it. You want to be a disciple of Jesus? Jesus said, pick up your cross and kill something in you. Did you get that? Okay? All right. Now, to pick up your cross means a total surrender of our will to Jesus. We die to anything we want, our desires, or believe. From that point on, he calls all the shots. I want you to get this, okay? The question is, Pastor Perry's asking, who calls the shots in your life? I know you're a big baller. I know you make a lot of money. I know you got a lot of authority. I know people do what you say. But who is calling the shots in your life? Either you calling the plays or Jesus calling the play. Let's be honest. Who's making the call? Who's calling the shot? The game's on the line. Who's calling the plays in your life? A lot of us say we follow Jesus and we never consult with him. We never let him diagram a play. We just tell Jesus, oh, you sit on the bench. I'll come and get you if I get in trouble. Y'all follow me? This is 2025. We got to move onward. We cannot be half-stepping into 2025. If you're a Christian, it needs to be evident by your lifestyle and your beliefs who is calling the shots in your life. Okay? Now, have you brought your will, your decisions? Have you made them captive to his decisions? Okay? All right. Okay, so Tiffany Nicole, Reverend Tyler, can you take that information? Okay, and we'll try to reach out to her. Okay. Now, have you brought your will, your decisions, and made them captive to his? Because somebody got to be in control. Somebody got to make the final call. Either it's going to be God or it's going to be you. So let me ask you a question. comes to God in your life, have you given God a blank check? See, here's a blank check, okay? Right here, blank check, okay? I tell God every day, God, fill it in. Lord, fill it in, okay? All right, fill it in, Lord. A lot of us, we come to God and we hold our stuff. We take our wallet and we make sure we keep it in our purse or on our person. We hold our values. We hold our lifestyle and we keep them close to ourselves. Jesus says, Perry, if you come to me, you got to give me a blank check. You can't write the numbers in on your life and decide what you're going to do and who you're going to make it payable to. He said, if I don't control everything, I will control nothing in your life. So here it is. Did you see it? Okay. Have you given God a blank check? Okay. I know some of y'all saying, you know, I can't afford to give God a blank check. Then he said, then you can't be my disciple. Okay? All right. So here. Okay. Now I got two cards. Okay? One is, let me turn this upside. Oh, it's got turned the wrong one upside down. Okay? One of them, and this is how a lot of us treat Jesus. Okay? So how a lot of us treat Jesus. We come to Jesus, and we say it's 2025. And so we have a $25 Olive Garden card. That's what we have, $25 to go to Olive Garden, Italian kitchen, okay? And so when we say in 2025, we say, Lord, I know I got to upgrade, okay? So there's an upscale restaurant in my area that I like to go to from time to time called Chart House. So the best steaks, and in Weehawken, New Jersey, you watch, you look over the Hudson and you look into Manhattan, and if you go there when the sun is about to set, it's one of the most romantic places to dine anywhere. Okay, Olive Garden, Chart House. A lot of us, we came to God in 2024 and we were like, hey God, here's some Olive Garden. Then you heard Perry preaching and you say, well, you know what I'm going to do, God? 2025, I'm going to upgrade you. What you want? You want Olive Garden or you want Chart House? Come on, put it in the chat. What you want? Do you want $25 for Olive Garden, or you want me to up it a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 times that, and tell you here, go to Chart House? What do you think? Come on, okay? As Reb Tyler said, love Chart House, right? Yeah. So you want Olive Garden or Chart House? Now let me ask you a question while I'm asking. Okay, think about it. Okay, Chart House. Okay. Oh yeah, that steak is good, man. I can taste it already. Oh man. Okay, so here's what we're gonna ask the question. Okay, which one do you think Jesus wants? Which one of these you think Jesus wants? You think he want to go to Olive Garden or Chart House? Hello? Talk to me now. Which one do you think Jesus wants? Think he wants Olive Garden or do you think he wants Chart House? All right. All right. Come on. What you think? All right. Good to see you, Tiffany. All right. So let me put some of these responses up. They say he wants the best. He wants chart house, 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 chart house. Both. He owns all of them, but he wouldn't. He would go. He would go in the chart house. Okay. Timothy King said he'd go to Olive Garden. Okay. I'm gonna tell you what God wants. I'm gonna tell you. He don't want Olive Garden, and he don't want chart house. What he wants is total surrender. He don't want you to upgrade him. He wants it all or nothing at all. And that's the problem with us. We think that we can buy God off. That we can just upgrade him and say, okay, God, I know I've been doing Olive Garden, but I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up and I'm going to give more. I'm doing. God said, look, if I can't get everything, I don't want anything. And in 2025, God is talking to you and calling you out and saying, I'm tired of you thinking that you can get away with upgrading me. Because I already own Olive Garden. I already own Chart House. I already own everything. What I don't own is you. I want your total surrender. How about that? Luke 9:57, here says this. And they were going along the road. Someone said to him, I will follow you wherever you go. And Jesus said to him, foxes have holes, and the birds there have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Okay? Is Christianity for you more about comfort or a cross? Is Christianity for you more about comfort or a cross? Okay? Before I go, I want to let you know this. Jesus was never into follow me for your best life now invitations. He was into this. I'm enough for you, even if you have the worst life. Invitations. Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. All right?